What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Doh Show, episode 19. And if you listened last week, uh, then you know that we're covering James L. Brooks. And to be honest, it's been a fucking pleasure doing it. I had so much fun watching the interviews and learning about this man. And I can easily say he's one of my new idols. He's absolutely someone that I can look up to. I love what he's done in his life and how he got to the point that he did. Because if you listened last week, we mentioned something about like, oh, well, I don't know if it was on the actual podcast or not, but we're like, one person do this, one person do college years, and one person do Simpsons years. Come to find out, he was the only person working in that fucking Simpsons writers' room, Simpsons group that didn't have a Harvard education, which is fantastic.
Straight out.
Dropped straight out of. He didn't even go to Harvard. He went to NYU for like a year, and there's so much to say about this man.
That was not a discussion that we had on the podcast. That's a writer's room discussion, bro.
Wait, what?
The discussion we had on who's going to cover what, that was a writer's room discussion.
Oh, that was another. We didn't record that. Okay, all right. It's a little
behind the scenes, all right?
A little peek behind the curtain, everyone. You know that we talk outside of our recordings. Big surprise.
Dear Lord. Fucking the wizard behind the curtain exposed.
Yeah. Of course, if someone's like, don't look behind that curtain, you're going to be like, yeah, he's probably right. I'm not going to look. But no, welcome to the Doh Show, everyone. I am your host, Jonathan Peckus. I'm going with the full government name today. With me, as always, is Alexander's... Alex.
It's just Alex. It's just Alex.
Now it's Alexander's.
There's multiples.
Yeah, multiple. Which wouldn't be surprising if your mom just had a couple backups in the basement. Like, yeah, my son's pretty fucking clumsy, so we just decided to have his ass cloned a couple times.
That is Venture Bros right there. That's the Venture Bros plot right there. Yeah, is that the Dr. Venture has a bunch of clones in the basement because they keep on killing themselves because they're idiots.
That's fantastic. And then also with us is Ryan Burke. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing great. I thought. What about my nickname? Come on, I was going with
the Post.
The Post. Yeah.
Yeah. We have with us. We have
Ryan
the
Post
Burke.
The Post. Woo! Knowledge.
Brain Cuck Mackley and the Post Burke. Sounds like actually the Post would be like a solid like wrestling name. Like you come out, oh, I'm the Post. Hey, how you doing? I work on a dock in New York.
Which is completely the opposite of how I look.
Yeah, you're opposite coast, opposite accent, opposite temperament in life. That would be a great fucking talk about a good TV show. Instead of trading spouses, it's trading coasts. And like you go from like working at a weed store in California to be like, hey, now you work on the docks. Come over here, sonny. We're gonna teach you how to be a real man.
Teach you how to be a fucking Boston dock worker, like.
But James L. Brooks, he was born in New Jersey but moved to New York. So when he talks on the interviews, he kind of sounds like this. Hey, how you doing? No, he doesn't. He doesn't sound like that at all. He actually sounds like the most. I don't know. I feel like I just have a little bit of crush on this man after doing these fucking 10 hours of research.
Johnny's been man crushing on him hard. He's swimming in the brooks.
The brooks are babbling. But I was listening to the Pete Holmes podcast, and God, is he a horrible fucking interviewer. Fuck Pete Holmes. And that's usually a temperament I have for most people, but I'm like, oh, James. Oh, James.
You should only talk about James in your Marge voice.
Oh, James L. Brooks. He's the one who came up with the idea of me doing Playboy. Oh. I am your host, Jonathan Peckus, and I did about 17 fucking hours of research on my new hero, James L. Brooks. James L. Brooks, he's a playwright, he's an editor, a creator, a producer, a director. He was a fan of plays. He used to read a lot of plays as a child, and a heroin addict.
I did not know that.
I don't mean it the way that you think. Like, he wasn't addicted to drugs, but like he wrote a lot of parts for women, and like, you know, like there was like, so when he finally got his break, which we'll get into because I'll tell the whole story. But when he finally got into his break, he wanted to reinvent the idea of what a heroine is, like a female star, and at the time, like, everyone was doing female stars, like, oh, this would be like my mother, or like, you know, my grandmother. He started to think like, I want to make the star of these shows the daughters of the women that have been stars of these shows for so long. You think of like Lucille Ball or things like that, like those old school Judy Garland shit. I don't know if that really makes sense, but like shit like that. He was trying to evolve what was already there, not necessarily reinvent it.
Interesting fact that now that you bring that up is, I believe in the episode Lisa Substitute is when he had the most involvement in writing the episode. And if you watch that episode, it's exactly what you're talking about.
Really?
Yep.
That's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of syncopation's not the right word, but there's a lot of parallels from uh, James Brooks's work to Simpsons ideas, episodes. Like, one of the first shows he worked on when he got to LA and actually got like a break was he did a couple like spec scripts for a show called My Mother the Car, and there's a Simpsons episode called My Mother the Carjacker. So there's a lot of like that kind of stuff with it. And if you I'm not going to read through, I mean, maybe I will at the end if we have time. But if you go through his IMDb and look at all the episodes that he created and wrote for on his shows, you can look at one of them and be like, there's a Simpsons episode that the title is almost exactly to that, but it's like, you know, Doing in the Wind, or like, you know, it's always a Simpsons.
He'd always end up Simpsonizing one of the outside series that he would do. He would Simpsonize it into an episode, pretty much.
Exactly, yeah, and not like beat for beat. It was more just like the title of the episode. A lot of times, like, he had a movie called Starting Over, but they have a Simpsons episode that's called Barding Over. Not sure if it is a direct play off of the movie, but okay, let's get into it. I already called him a heroin addict, so he's definitely not going to be on the show. But okay, so in 1940, this motherfucker's born in 1940.
He's old as shit.
He's old as shit. But I have so much to say about him. I can't. Like, I feel like I'm gonna keep cutting myself off because I have so much to say about him. But I just want to get to the brass tacks because got a lot of shit written down here. It's very relatable to me. He was, you know, not very well-to-do family. Father was an alcoholic. Was raised by his mother and his older sister, and also his mother's sisters would come along a lot as well and help. So he admittedly was raised by females. And I think that obviously has to play into the fact that all of the things he wrote such good fucking female parts. But in the early days, you know, he was like an unlikable class clown where he was funny, but he got beat up all the time for it. And he didn't do good in high school. He went to his first year of college at New York University. Fucked up because like that was the first time he was away from his struggling family to like have. It was like he said it's the first fun he ever had in his life, and it just took him out of it. But it's crazy to see like he didn't do good in high school and he dropped out of college, but he's such a fucking well-educated person. Like, he educated himself in a way that just trumps tons of people that, you know, spend years going to school. And like, someone asked him about like, okay, so what was your mother like? Was she like, you know, she always took care of you, always was like overbearing or anything like that? And he said, and I quote, parenting is a luxury, and we didn't have that luxury. My parents were always gone for one reason or another, so we just had to survive. Like, they took care of, you know, bills and whatever food they could get, and then they took care of taking care of themselves the whole time, which is really interesting. It's really relatable to me, and that's why I think he's like one of my new idols, just because of the way his whole life shook out after this, like, admittedly not great upbringing. He would read plays as a child to pass the time. Like that was his thing. He got a magazine that had plays in it. He would just read the scripts of the plays. And he was a really big fan of this guy, Paddy Chayefsky. Considers him to be the most underrated writer in America. And he's actually currently working on an untitled documentary. I don't know how long he's been at that or how serious it is, but I did see that and I thought that was cool. But yeah, I mean, he drops out of college. He has a bunch of odd jobs that he just never gets down, for one reason or another. He says, like, he's dyslexic, so he had trouble doing simple kind of jobs that most people get down pretty easy.
He's dyslexic, but yet a writer?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I only heard that one time, so I don't know if maybe he was just saying that. You know how sometimes people say, like, well, I'm dyslexic, certain things are hard for me, but it's not like a medical diagnosis that they get. Yeah. But that's what I thought too. Is like this man has written so many incredible things, but
and read so much too.
Yeah.
He rewrites scripts.
Yeah, he does a bunch of rewrites for people, which we'll get to later when he started Gracie Films.
Not that we're trying to claim that he's falsifying his mental health conditions or anything, but
he's definitely not going to be on this show.
Or he's gonna come on just to be like, yo, I'm gonna roast the fuck out of you fucking twerks. Like
No, we'll get into the we'll make him like we'll talk the better.
Let's just cut an edit of just the shit talk portions and send it into him and be like, come on the podcast, bro, we really like you. Send him the worst edit ever.
Yeah, I don't know. He did the interview with Pete Holmes, so I'm sure he's willing to do things he doesn't want to, because he did not enjoy that fucking interview. He kept telling him, like, no, you have it completely wrong, and like explaining. Super nice guy though. He seems like a nice, genuine person, and I think that comes from a lot of his his upbringing and his background.
Wasn't he a host?
Host of.
I may have got my information incorrect, but I thought he was a host at CBS News for like 2 years.
No, he was not a host. He was I was getting that. He had all those odd jobs. He couldn't keep one. And just by luck. And he's a really big believer in like, luck and like catching a break and, having that one time where you're just in the right place at the right time. And his sister's best friend
got him like the job or something.
Basically, like she knew the person who was in charge of hiring pages for CBS. And Page Boy was just like, go get me this, go stand by the door, say hello to everyone as they come in. And he got that job. And usually you needed some sort of like, at least you're in college for this to get that job.
Yeah, it's more like an internship type role almost.
Kind of. It's like an internship, but he definitely got paid. Because I don't think at the time he would be able to afford to do an internship.
Yeah.
Because he had been working all through high school. Like always had a job, always had some sort of odd job. But so he becomes a page boy, and he said that every about 2 years, when there's a page boy, they last about, here they're 2 years, and then they move up and do something else. Well, he was the one who was there much after 2 years, and he started to think like, oh God, like, am I just going to be stuck here? Do I need to start looking at other things? So a job opened up, and it was a vacation replacement for a desk assistant at CBS. So basically like a lackey for the bigger people, a vacation replacement for that guy, which is just incredible. Like
a bench warmer.
Yeah, like he's going on vacation for 2 weeks, so I need you to bring me my coffee and, make sure all my files are in order, shit like that. So he got that job, and the person he was replacing went on vacation for 2 weeks, just never fucking came back. Never came back. And this is a spot where you need a master's in journalism, because you're not only just getting coffee and shit, you're reading things, helping people with like real shit, real news shit. And
you're probably I know you're probably like going through, if people are sending them like content and type stuff or like pitches and proposals type deal, you're going to be sifting through all of that and trying to find what is worth someone's time and not worth someone's time. And if you send them some shit, they're going to yell at you and throw the coffee back at you, and you're going to have to go get the coffee again. So yeah, you got to have a master's for that.
Yeah, like a master's in journalism with extra classes and tons of credits to your name. And basically, like, and this is the fucking story of this guy's life, and that's why I love it so much. Basically, they're just like, well, you're already here, so You got the job. And now he just has this job that he never would have been able to get if he had like a fair shake of things like everyone else. Like, he didn't finish college, he didn't have a degree. There's no reason he should have gotten that job other than just right time, right place. Kid did a good enough job. He's here. Leave him.
And that's where
now that's where his career kind of started off.
Yeah, so I was gonna say the writing career started, right?
Yeah, so he went from there to like working at the like flagship radio station for CBS. So he was writing news for the radio show. And like, again, I feel like we've insulted James Brooks enough by calling him a heroin addict. I don't want to say that this man just got where he is today by being lucky, because you can be lucky and someone can give you a break. But if you fuck up and you're not the right person, you don't have the talent, you don't have the chops to break up that chance that you were given. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have that, then they're just going to fucking throw you out to the trash. You're not going to last that long. Just be like, oh, well, he just got lucky. No, he got lucky and was good enough.
Was prepared for it.
Yeah. I don't know necessarily about prepared for it, but he was good enough to get through it.
He was able to step up to it.
Able to step up, able to produce things that people liked. Because from there, it just kept shooting up. He was working at this radio station. It was a writers guild job. It was a union job, like well-paid, highly secured job. And someone in LA in 65, so he's 25 at this time, someone in LA is like, hey, I saw some of your stuff. I like it. I want you to come out and work for my documentary team that's out there. And he was like, he is newly married, like a lot of shit changing for this guy. And he left this not cushy, but comfortable, like safe union job to move all the way to the opposite side of the country to work on a documentary thing. His wife kind of like,
I know something about that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you could say you had a union job here before you left, but
that's true. But the moving apart, the cross country part, I guess.
Yeah. So his wife was very supportive of the wife at the time.
Is that when he went to work with David L. Walper?
Yes, that is exactly. Yeah. Okay. Walper had the documentary team. He did a couple things for him. Was like fired soon after he got to LA, and his wife was supporting both of them with like not a great job. I don't know what she was doing, to be fair, but and also I wrote all these fucking notes, but I've been researching so much I haven't even looked at the notes. I don't even know where I'm at in this note thing. I'm just going off the top of my head because I fucking love this dude's story so much. It's like so inspiring.
I want to comment on this because I think you would find this kind of interesting. So, not that James L. Brooks worked on it at all, but when he did work with David L. Walper, and I looked into what he did, and he produced some awesome shit. He did Roots, LA Confidential, and
what?
the one
Roots?
The one I thought you would find the most interesting. You ready for this? He produced Willy Wonka.
Get the fuck out of here! Really?
Yeah, I mean, not James L. Brooks, but
no. I know Walper, the guy who brought him in to do the documentary team.
Yes.
That's fucking awesome. I did not know that. That's a 3-level connection to Willy Wonka. Guess what next episode is, baby? No, I'm just kidding. But that's cool. I didn't know that. Thank you for looking that up.
I thought you would find that interesting.
It's my fucking favorite movie of all time. Of course I find it interesting. But like a fun thing that they did at that documentary company, they were called up by General Motors to do a documentary about how cars were not dangerous. It was the highways, and it was the people, and it was the street signs, and it was like this huge fucking what's the word for it? It was this huge propaganda thing because what is the guy's name? I have it. Ralph Nader. You guys know Ralph Nader?
Oh fuck yeah, Ralph Nader.
So Ralph Nader back in the day,
one of my favorite politicians of all time.
I mean, well, here, you'll like this then. So back in the day, he was a automobile safety lecturer, and General Motors hired private investigators to follow Ralph Nader around to like get dirt on him, so they could just like do this whole smear campaign. And these fucking private investigators not only followed him into a bank, but then we're looking over his shoulder to see what he's writing down on his bank slips. Ralph Nader fucking sued him, got $425,000 in 1970 money. $425,000 in today money is still $425,000. In 1970, like, why did he stay in politics? I would have been in the Caribbean. I would have been kicked up. Fuck the world. Fuck politics. Fuck Ralph Nader. I don't even care what he does. Dude, he sued them and got that much like that. Like, it was no problem. And that was one of the documentaries that, I don't know if Brooks actually worked on it per se, but they were doing that at the time. But one documentary he did work on was for National Geographic, and it was like the war versus the wasps and the bees. And at the time, he was like definitely afraid of both of them. But because he had to go through the film and he would write out the narration for it, like, and the bees of blah 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 blah, and as the wasps fly in, he have to like put his face to this old school like video thing. And he says by doing that, it was like his own self-induced aversion therapy, and he completely got over his phobia after that. Like, as soon as he made that documentary, just no longer afraid of bees or wasps or bugs, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Learn enough about a topic, you no longer fear it.
Yeah, you put it right in front of yourself. I mean, a lot of people pay thousands of dollars a month to get that kind of treatment. This motherfucker just did it in the studio room. So, yeah, so he's working for the documentary team. He gets laid off. He's in tough spots. His wife is taking care of the both of them. He has, and you know, I'm going to say this and bring it to a point, and then we're going to take a break and come back with the rest of the story. But he has a story where he would drop off his wife at work every single day, and then this is in LA. So he said he would either drive up the coast and read plays or books or whatever. Like I said before, he's a big reader of plays. He would either go up the coast and read, or he would go to the local Los Angeles courthouse and sit in on trials, just because he had that much time to kill and he didn't know what to do. So he was either in a courtroom or sitting on the beach reading a fucking book or a play. And he had no job. His wife was taking care of him. And on that note, we'll be back.
What a lucky bastard.
Right after these messages. And we have returned to the story of James L. Brooks. So like I was saying, so he's working for these people, or he wasn't working for anyone. He went to a New Year's Eve party that was thrown by the people he was doing the documentaries for that he was no longer working for. And he says it's like, you know, not a dingy party, but just like people, just like us. We're all standing around wearing T-shirts, you know, shorts and all that. And these two people walk in wearing, you know, a three-piece tux, a gorgeous gown, and it ended up being his future writing partner, Alan Burns. And basically, he just got to talking to this guy at the party. He didn't walk up to him and like push an agenda. He just walked up, you know, kind of mentioned something he's always wanted to write for, you know, a comedy show or do some sort of writing like that. And Alan Burns was just like, I'll give you a shot. Like, here, talk to these people. You'll get set up. You can write stuff for these people. Like, without ever seeing anything that this man did, without knowing him for more than a conversation at a party.
He's probably seen some of the work he's done, I'm assuming, because he's been in the game for a little bit.
Well, he probably knows him from, like, the documentary team or something like that. But it's not like, you know, it's not like Brooks at that time had ever written for any shows or anything.
Alan Burns was the producer of My Mother the Car, correct?
Yes.
And then that's when he hired Brooks to rewrite the script.
Well, he gave him an opportunity,
as a rewriter, right?
Yeah, he gave him an opportunity.
Fun little fact in terms of being given producer credits in film. The producer is one of the highest ranking things, but in television, producer is like the fifth.
Interesting.
Really? That is interesting. Well, during this time when, I mean, we'll get farther into Brooks's life, but like during this time, it was a huge change for television. For you know, like new channels were coming up, new companies were being more relevant, old companies were not being so relevant. There's big changes being done. But he talks to Burns. He gets the spot, and he starts writing for like he wrote for a couple things for My Mother the Car. Like it was only like maybe 3 episodes that he just helped out on. And funny thing about, okay, so My Mother the Car, we talked about this earlier. There's a Simpsons episode, My Mother the Carjacker, and that's like a little tip of the hat to what James L. Brooks did before the Simpsons.
Is that one with Homer's mother in it?
Yep.
Yeah,
Mona
and she
Simpson.
turns out that she's has like the dark, shady underside past that no one knows about.
Interesting enough, it goes back to a heroine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's.
That's right. She was like some like vigilante type thing in the like 70s.
Yeah, she was the hippie counterpart to Mr. Burns.
Yep.
Remember when Bart puts on the tie-dye T-shirt?
No,
look, Grandma, the 60s
and we're all wearing
back, and we're all wearing tie-dye.
We're wearing tie-dyes right now. Perfect.
Just funny.
Yeah, I don't think it's like a crazy. I don't think it's a crazy idea to think like, oh, we're all wearing tie-dye T-shirts right now. That's like 90% of my clothing.
Oh yeah, but it just happened.
Yeah.
I exclusively wear tie-dyes, band T-shirts, and real old church T-shirts.
There you go. So in 2002, fun fact about My Mother the Car, TV Guide said that it was the second worst show of all time behind the Jerry Springer Show. And I mean, 2002 is very, 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 very long after that show came out. So I don't know.
How do you judge something in the past if you weren't living in it?
Yeah, and also like how common is to be like, oh, Jerry Springer Show is trash television. It's like, I don't know.
Did you know that the Jerry Springer Show? Well, Jerry Springer 1 was like a super like well-renowned journalist before the Jerry Springer became what he's known for today. He was the mayor of Cincinnati, and the Jerry Springer Show.
Yes, he was. I forgot about that.
He was the mayor of fucking. I think we were making fun of Cincinnati last week too, so that's a nice little callback right there. But so he's the mayor of Cincinnati. Then he started doing this like hard-hitting journalistic show, but it got trash ratings. And then he turned it into what the Jerry Springer Show is, and he's like, I hate it. I've never watched a single fucking episode of that trash ever, but it makes me fucking money. So
money makes a lot of people money. Yeah, I always thought Jerry Springer was just like a Midwest thing because like I remember seeing it on like the local Chicago channels, and come to find out it was nationwide. People loved it and hated it nationwide. But back to what we were saying before with Brooks being a big believer in catching a break and having a lucky circumstance. Like this college dropout goes across the country to take a chance on a job he wasn't sure of, gets fired, then at the fucking party that place was having, meets someone who changes his life forever. He becomes his writing partner. He achieves his dreams of being able to write on shows. And after that point, he had 2 credits on shows that he had been on. So he had an agent, and he had about like a season, quote unquote, like a whole year of just doing freelance work. He wrote for
CBS.
That Girl.
Right?
Well, no, CBS was before he moved to LA. He stopped working for CBS when he moved to LA.
I don't know if you're right on that one.
No, he definitely did. So
I'm
he had
pretty
that spot.
sure Burns and Brooks got hired by CBS to write and create the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Was that on CBS? I thought you were talking about like CBS The News because he worked for CBS.
No, CBS programming.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, was that CBS or NBC? I don't know. I don't know the stations that they were on. But yeah, so he had some freelance work, and he started to get his chops a little bit. He wrote a couple things for That Girl, The Doris Day Show, and like 2 or 3 episodes he wrote, or at least helped writing on, for the Andy Griffith Show.
Nice.
which I thought was really cool. I didn't know that. Like, I only know him from The Simpsons, and like I remember when I was little watching Andy Griffith with my mom and my grandma and stuff like that. Um, I just never realized that he was a part of things like that. But in 1969, he was able to make a pilot based on the scripts that he had done for other things. And that's when he started his first show with Alan Burns, obviously, on Fox. It's called Room 222.
Never heard of it.
You've never. So that was like the first thing that he created with Alan Burns. Like, him and Alan Burns went on to be the creators of multiple shows. But that was the first one, and he's credited for being the creator of 113 episodes, but he only had the writing credit for one. And interesting thing that I found out about writing credits, and he said this about a certain spot later in his life. I don't know if this was done before that point or if it's still done after, but they had a rule on one of their shows: whoever wrote the episode originally gets full writing credit. It's not a, co-writing.
The reason two people. Do you know the reason they did that?
Yes, I believe I do.
It was to subside rewrites.
Exactly. So like some asshole
wouldn't say, "Hey, well, this needs a rewrite," and then get his name in the credits.
And I think that's such a smart idea, and I want to say that they carried that over to The Simpsons.
In television broadcast terms, a producer is usually a writer as well.
Yeah, and I think they carried that over to The Simpsons because he talked a lot of times about The Simpsons always being a writing room style kind of thing. Someone writes the episode, it gets kind of talked about in a group, someone does a rewrite, all that kind of stuff. But it always still remains the writer credit of the person who did it. Like, you might see like who were we talking about last week, or Al Jean, and who is his partner? Matt Selman?
Yeah.
I think so. So like they would write episodes together. Like they would write it together and then bring it to the group as they both wrote that. So that's why they both get the writing credit on it. But yeah, like you said, they did it so that, some new writers like, well, I need to get a couple credits on my name. Let me just say that this needs a rewriter. Try and elbow somebody. Hey, I wrote a couple things on that. Shouldn't I get a writing credit? I love the rule. I think it's a fantastic way to keep egos down and keep the show quality up. But so he created Room 222, and it was actually it was a one camera show, which made it a lot easier for the writers and producers and all that. But it was one of the first shows that had an African American star. It was like the second by like 2 months. And it's not like they were trying to like set a record or anything like that, but they had one of the first shows with an African American star, and I thought that was pretty good.
He's a big fan of working, having the female lead the heroine role, so pretty progressive writer.
Yeah, definitely. And hearing interviews of this guy, he still is just quite a progressive dude in general. Like, people asked him little snippets about politics, and one interview was during the pandemic, and he spoke a little about that, and just really, really wise thoughts about, a global pandemic. He said, never in the history of humanity has this many people been traumatized at the same time. And I kind of like sat and thought about that for a minute, like, because he was like, so many of us during the pandemic, like, we were all traumatized at the same time, and like, what is that going to lead to with like humanity, like, or at least like American like ideals or American humanity?
Yeah.
He's very, very smart person. Fun fact about Room 222: it beat Sesame Street for the best new show, like when it came out.
Huh.
Which is like, obviously Room
a very odd comparison.
Well, it's like, so they'll have like, best drama or best comedy, best supporting actress, shit like that. But it was just the category of best new show, just completely vague, best new show. And they beat Sesame Street. Yeah. And it's like,
look
room
where
222 is
Street is today.
exactly like, look where Sesame Street is now. Look where room 22 is, or 222 is.
One of my favorite things of recent Sesame Street shit is they were like, and now we introduce our first homeless character, and people are like, what about Oscar the Grouch? Is he nothing?
He lives in a trash can. He has a better living situation than you, Alex. Have you ever seen inside of that trash can? He's got a 2-bedroom trash can down there. He goes down.
I bet
he's got like a kitchen.
It's actually just covering a sewer grate, and he goes down and he's one of the sewer people, and he has like a fucking like condo type shit down there.
Wait, are you saying you've never seen the inside of Oscar's living space? Because he actually does have like a living space in the trash can.
I've not been made aware of that living space, and if it's better than mine, I'm a little bit salty.
I think he's just a homeless person that's on a lot of drugs.
I don't know.
And the inside seems a lot more spacious.
His like best friend of them all, Snuffleupagus.
Snuffleupagus actually started as Big Bird's imaginary friend.
Yep.
And then became a real character. So he forced himself into the ether of reality. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he started as a hallucination on a Muppet. Like, what level of reality is that? What base is that? Like
all right, that's when the network comes in, and like, the network always has to come in and be like, listen, guys, we've been looking at the ratings. People are a little concerned that a 7-foot bird has an imaginary friend that's a heroin addict. No, who? James L. Brooks? No, he just loves writing roles for women. Like, no, Snuffleupagus, man, he looks like a junkie. Like,
he looks like a junkie. He gives off strong junkie vibes. Like,
strong junkie vibes would be a great fucking punk band. Oh my god.
Oh my god, you're right. That is such a good new age punk band name. Let's do something with that.
Thank you, New Jersey. We're not allowed to play in New York. Our names are... I can't even remember what the fuck we just said.
Strong junkie vibes.
Strong junkie vibes. We are strong junkie vibes. We play punk, but with a phaser pedal. And we just turn it up all the way for every song. So last we left James L. Brooks, it was 1969. He had created Room 222. Now I get into an era-based explanation of where James L. Brooks was. So from 70 to 82, he was obviously working on other small projects, freelance writing, shit like that all over the place. But him and Alan Burns created the Mary Tyler Moore Show. And at the time, they had been working with, or known, Mary Tyler Moore's husband, who was like a big, big head at Fox. But because he worked for Fox and Mary Tyler Moore's show was going to be put on a different network, he had like legal things where he couldn't be a part of it. So he had James and Alan come in. They created the show, and the Mary Tyler Moore Show is extremely popular. Like, I mean, it's still cult classic, just a great show, but it had 3 spinoffs. So not only did he get that Mary Tyler Moore money, but he got all the spinoff money too. Like, there was Rhoda, there was Phyllis, and there was Lou Grant, all spinoffs of it. And then also in multiple years later, this is in like the 2000s, he wrote 3 original episodes for a show called De Sylvia Mellencamp Show. And I thought it was like a Hispanic thing, but no, it's just like a straight Norwegian copy of the Mary Tyler Moore Show. But after he did Mary Tyler Moore, he, had enough success in the television world where people started trusting him by name. They didn't have so many producers and executives or whoever it was at the time coming in and giving them notes. They had freedom with what they did because they had found so much success before that.
Well, that's one of the things that he did for the Simpsons was he negotiated in the contract for it with Fox that the network would have no control over the content of what The Simpsons did.
That makes a lot of sense because they shit talk Fox a lot.
Once he managed to get, like, you know, that kind of trust from the industry pre-Simpsons, he ends up using that clout to actually get a pretty good deal for them in terms of that then.
Yeah, and it seems like with those stories that you hear about stuff like that was back then, this is now. I don't think even if you were James L. Brooks right now, you would have that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at how many times The Simpsons has fucking roasted Fox.
Yeah, like, exactly. Yeah,
the fucking Banksy opening scene where it's showing all the Fox stuff being produced in, like, slave labor camps in China with, like, pandas working in the mines and the last unicorn poking out the holes of the fucking DVDs of the show. Like, there's a reason that there's a reason that networks won't let that be a part of the contract anymore, and it's because of what they did with it.
But it's like, it was dark, but it was also real.
It's real. That's the thing. Like, that was one of those ones where you just, like, kind of stop breathing for a second as it's airing, and you're like, oh, wow, I can't believe they just did that.
All right, so after the success of his shows, right?
He married Tyler Moore.
And, he then left in 1978, and that's when he created Taxi.
Do you know why he left the Mary Tyler Moore Show or those shows that he was doing at the time to do Taxi?
I do not. I did not.
He had been writing for women parts for so long, he started to get like a little not a drab feeling about it, but he's like, I want to do something different. So he's like, I want to make a not a female heroine story. And
I also know while writing Taxi, they did some what would be considered, I guess, gonzo journalism, where they actually hung out in taxi cabs,
in dispatches,
and got a feel for actually the environment and the characters, and then they wrote their script, which I found awesome. You know, if you're going to write about something, get yourself involved.
So I think that was the doing of, I could be wrong on the name, but I want to say that this is the guy, Grant Tinker. Grant Tinker has always been like a fucking guardian angel for James L. Brooks. Like, he almost got fired. Grant Tinker wouldn't allow it. Taxi got canceled, and he called Grant Tinker like drunk after it got canceled and was like, hey, you know, we all love this so much. And he was like, oh, I can't do anything for you. And James L. Brooks said, I don't need you to do anything for me. I just need you to be there so I can vent. After venting, Grant Tinker picked it up for another season on a different network. This guy has always been there helping out, like doing these crazy things.
He saw the potential in him.
Exactly. He saw the potential and he went for it, and he took chances and he fucking knocked it out of the park every time. But yeah, so I believe it was Grant Tinker. It could have been someone else, but one person in James L. Brooks' life told him the importance of doing research. Like, if it was when he was doing Room 222, I want to say. Yeah, it was. And because the show is about like a teacher, you know, whatever. And the guy kept sending him to a high school. He's like, go spend some time at the high school, research at the high school. That's how we got the idea for the characters for that show. And then with Taxi, they went and spent like a whole 24-hour shift basically at a taxi cab service where this New York article where the show was based off of was written about. And that's how he found all of the motivation for all the characters. And he's a real big guy on like casting. Like, you have to have the right people. And he took a lot of time on casting. But yeah, sorry.
You're good.
Go ahead.
And I think he learned that. That's a perfect segue, because I think he learned that a little bit more the following year in 1979 when he left the television industry and moved into the film industry. And that's when he was involved with Starting Over, which he's a king at putting Easter eggs all over in terms of showing his life past. Starting Over, he's done with one industry, jumping into another. And his first film is Starting Over, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, and let's not forget the Simpsons episode Barding Over, which again, like, I mean, I'll have to look more into this to see if like the episodes were pulls off of the names or if it was just a clever name. It's like, yeah, it's the shitty Beatles. Are they any good? No, they suck. All right, well, it's not just a clever name.
If you spent time writing an entire script for a movie, wouldn't you just bleed it over into a 30-minute segment? Make fun of yourself? I would.
I mean, The Simpsons have always been good about making fun of themselves. And some people don't like it and say it gets a little too meta after a while, but I enjoy that humor.
Yeah, I'm always a pretty big fan of self-aware humor. Like,
and then he went into write terms of endearment and broadcast news, which from have a background being in the news industry, a news junkie. He wrote a movie about it, which I thought was quite comical. Yeah.
Well, if we can go back to Taxi for a second. So Taxi had Danny DeVito and Andy Kaufman. And do you guys know who Andy Kaufman is?
I love Andy Kaufman. That man was fucking insane.
Quick story. So, like, he spent that time at the Taxi place, and he, the way that he wrote the character for Danny DeVito's character on Taxi, who was like the dispatcher, you know, real rough and tumble kind of guy. He was at the taxi place and saw a taxi driver try to bribe the dispatcher and be like, "Can I get a clean car, man? Can I get a car that doesn't smell like shit and looks like shit?" And when he saw that, he's like, "I understand what this character is going to be." The way that Danny DeVito got that role, because like I said, he does a very long casting process. Like, he'll do 40 high-level celebrities and 80 other people, and then find one person one day off a random thing. So him and Alan Burns, they walk into the room where Danny DeVito is about to audition for this role, and he goes, "All right, so which one of you assholes wrote this?" And they're like, "You're fucking hired." Like, after interviewing 80, 90 people, and he's just like, "That is who we're looking for." And Andy Kaufman is a story. They had gone to the Comedy Store where he was performing all the time, and what's the guy's name? Tony Clifton. Tony Clifton opened up for Andy Kaufman. Big fucking dickhead, almost gets the place violent, and then Andy Kaufman comes on, fucking kills it like he always did. Andy's agent at the time, who was everyone's agent, fucking Shapiro, comes up to James L. Brooks and Burns sitting at a table, and he goes, "Hey, Tony Clifton is actually Andy Kaufman." And they're like, "What the fuck?" They're blown away by it. So they want to get Andy Kaufman for Taxi, but Andy's like, "I'm only going to take this role if you hire Tony Clifton." And he played that role very close to his chest. It was not a well-known thing that they were the same person. So to get Andy on the show, they had to hire Tony Clifton. And Tony Clifton caused so much fucking ruckus when he was there to film that the other actors were like, "We're not going to do this if he stays on this role." So they had to go to Andy Kaufman and talk to Andy Kaufman about how they can fire Tony Clifton from the show. And Andy's idea was, "All right, you can fire him, but it has to be on stage and it has to be in front of everyone." And they're like,
"No way."
Oh my God. They're like, "Okay." So they go, and he's Tony Clifton on stage. They come out, they fire him. He's doing getting crazy, getting violent. The Paramount fucking studio security had to drag him out, literally threw him out of the door. Everyone's fucking panicked because all the people, all the actors, all the stage crew, all the cameramen, they don't know that that's Andy Kaufman. He gets thrown out of the fucking door as Tony Clifton. And then he calls like one of James L. Brooks's executives or like workers, co-workers kind of thing. And he was like, "That was the greatest time of my life." And then Andy Kaufman comes back and does the rest of the show no problem.
What a trip.
What a fucking legend to be able to. He just split himself completely in half, and like.
Have you seen the documentary about Jim Carrey playing Andy Kaufman? And like,
have you seen the movie of Jim Carrey playing Andy Kaufman? You got because there's the documentary and the movie, and they're both fucking phenomenal.
Well, like my favorite thing with the documentary was then when like Jim Carrey played Andy Kaufman, or did I don't know if "played him" is the proper term, but like did Andy Kaufman in front of his parents, and they're like going out to dinner with Jim Carrey as Andy Kaufman, and they're just like, "Well, it seems like we're hanging out with our son right now," and it's really fucked up. Yeah. Like,
there's some pretty crazy points in that documentary where like it was not like a scene. It was like, Jim Carrey being Andy Kaufman as Andy Kaufman around Andy Kaufman's family and be like, "Hi, Dad. Hi, Mom," and then like yelling and arguing with his father like Andy Kaufman would. And there was like some emotional scenes where like they're all kind of crying and like nobody. I think if that was my family, like someone's playing my brother in a movie, they start yelling at me, I'd be like, "You better get this guy or I'm gonna knock his fucking teeth in. Like, you better calm him down." But they were like, they just loved it. They were into it. It was like I don't know if it's maybe like a therapeutic for him at a certain point. But enough about Kaufman. But hey, I just wanted to say that because he was a big part of Taxi. He was a huge part of Taxi, a big part of its success. Same with Danny DeVito. Who else is in there? Jeff Daniels from Dumb and Dumber is in Taxi, I believe. I don't know. This isn't a Taxi podcast.
So he does his filming. He has fun in the film industry. You got anything else on the film industry?
Well, I was just talking about Taxi. I mean, if you're talking about the film industry, he did the Starting Over, Terms of Endearment. There's a fun story about Terms of Endearment that ties into him ending up starting The Simpsons.
Okay. Was it by meeting Tracy Ullman?
No. Okay. This was so when after he was done filming Terms of Endearment, one of these stars of the show gifted him an original comic panel of Matt Groening's. It was 9 Ways or 8 Ways to Die in LA. It's like, drive-by shootings, all this stuff. And then the last 2 were Success or Failure. And like, that was the 2 last ways to die in LA. And he always loved it. And that's why when they were doing the shorts, he went to him to do that. But there's still a pretty good amount of stuff between, 1983 and 1989. Actually, there's not.
87 is when he returned to TV. Movies. Yeah, he did the movies, and then he returned to television to actually help Tracy Ullman as a producer.
So do you?
Go ahead.
I was going to say we can talk about the movie he did before he took the break that led into the Ullman Show. So do you guys know what Terms of Engagement is about?
I do not. I'm going to be honest. I've never seen it.
Yeah, me neither. But like real short synopsis. Super long, drawn out drama comedy about a girl with an overbearing mother and a blah, blah, blah husband. They have whatever should happen. She gets terminal cancer and then fucking dies at the end. But it's still a comedy, which I thought was interesting. Never watched it. Maybe I probably will after this. But like Jack Nicholson, Danny DeVito, Jeff Daniels, and John Lithgow are all in that movie.
They won a bunch of awards for it too.
Ton of awards. So much success from that. And he, the director, Alan Pakula, Brooks specifically wanted him for that spot.
Like you mentioned earlier, he's a key caster.
Yeah. I mean, he said multiple times, like, I don't think we would ever have been able to do that without this one person playing this role. And he says that about like every single character in the shit he's made. So obviously it's very important to him. But this is like he got Palooka to direct for this, and then later Palooka got him back. It's like, it wasn't like I scratch your back, you scratch mine, like you owe me one. It was more like, I know you picked me because you thought I was right for this, and I think you're right for that, so I'm going to hook you up with these people to do that. But interesting thing about Terms of Endearment, it's a very Americana, like the way it's set and the time it's set in. Brooks had everyone, I don't know if it was everyone, I don't know the extreme details, but he had all the actors and like people that were working on the movie. He had them all look at all of the Norman Rockwell paintings, which I thought was really interesting.
That is pretty fucking cool.
I mean, just like a really good way to, I don't know, put your idea across to everyone working on the film. (1983 to 1987), The Lost Years of James L. Brooks. Well, I mean, it's not really lost years. He started Gracie Films in '86, and I mean, you see it at the end of every Simpsons episode. But basically, exactly. Doon 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 doon. But yeah, basically he just like traveled and like took some vacations and shit. He still like did bits and pieces of stuff here and there, but he didn't have anything credited to him for
The man needs a
84 or
break.
85.
The man needs a break. He's been
Yeah,
working hard.
He needs a he deserved it. But he came back 87, and so I said before when he got a gift from Terms of Endearment actor. That was the Matt Groening thing. So they wanted to find some sort of animation to use as little 30-second bumpers before commercials, and that's how that leads into that.
That's how The Simpsons was born. Tracy Ullman, not Ullman. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah,
isn't it Ullman?
Ullman. But with then on the Matt Groening side of it, when he was approached by Brooks to write shorts for the Tracy Ullman Show, he was originally going to be, because he was working on his he had the cartoon series that he was doing. The comic series was the something hell, My Life in Hell or whatever.
Oh, just Life in Hell.
Yeah, Life in Hell. Yeah, and he was originally going to do that, but then it turned out that he would have to and at this point that comic was his entire life's work, and he'd have to rescind the rights to it type deal. And he was like, I'm not comfortable doing that, so I'm just going to go ahead and create something new. And he came up with the idea of the dysfunctional but loving family in Brooks's office while he was doing that.
Yeah, and actually, so he had a little bit more foresight than that. He had that drawn without ever talking it. They never said, "Hey, we want to do a life is hell thing." He came in with the idea well, I can't let them possibly take this.
Yeah. Once he knew that what the deal would be that them taking that, he's like, I am not giving that to them. That is mine, and I'm coming up with something new.
It was even before that, because they had never even talked before. They didn't show him a deal and hey, if you give us this, we'll make a cartoon. He went there and he was like, well, I don't want them taking this. So he drew very quickly in about 5 minutes, and like you said, in Brooks' office.
Literally in the office, he came up with it. And I think it's super funny because if you look at two of Fox's most successful fucking cartoon type shits, you're looking at The Simpsons, which like we just said, they got picked up like that, of him literally scribbling it down in the office. And then when Mike Judge pitched King of the Hill to Fox, he didn't have anything. He just went into the interview as Hank Hill pitching Arlen to the executives of why they should do their TV show in this fictional place, Arlen, Texas. And they're like, right. Who is this guy? What are his friends? We want more. Please give us more.
Did you guys see the crossover episode? It was a very, very slight second, but it's when Bart joins the football team and Homer becomes the coach.
I don't know if I remember that.
The King of the Hill family is in the bleachers. And for a slight second, they're like, "We came all the way to Arlen for this, or from Arlen to this."
Yeah, it wasn't. It was a crossover frame.
Not a full episode, just a very small.
Yeah, like a scene at best.
Also, I did want to mention, so when Brooks got a hold of Groening to have him come in to just talk about, doing some sort of animated shorts for the Ullman Show, this wasn't even close to them having an idea of starting an animated series, like a cartoon show on the network. They just had little 30 seconds before and after the commercials, and that's where the Simpsons family was born. But again, someone drunk at a party, I think it was a Christmas party or a New Year's Eve party again, but the animator who was doing the animation for the Simpsons Ullman shorts, cornered James L. Brooks, and he just very passionately explained how much to animators and to people who do anything close to animation, or even just fans of animation, how much it would mean to them to have a show, an animated show on primetime, and there hadn't been one at the time for 25 years. So Brooks heard him out, and he's like, he saw the passion. He said he saw his eyes welling up with like tears because he was so passionate about the idea, and that was like the turning point that convinced him and Groening to actually go out and pursue like a full show, which they started in, was the first season in 89 or was it 90? I want to say it was 89.
Yeah, 89, yep. It started in the very end of the 80s.
And
I don't think it became The Simpsons until 91.
No, it's The Simpsons in 89.
Okay.
Or 89.
Or, I mean, it didn't become syndicated as its own program until 91, is what my memory tells me.
Fun fact, since we're going to the starting point of The Simpsons, did you guys know in the original when they have the clouds come up and it says The Simpsons, the right side, excuse me, it covers up suns a little bit longer than the Simps because the intent was they are simple people. They're Simps.
Huh. That word had a different connotation back
then.
Yep. It's like the simp sons. I'm turning this shit off. I'm turning this shit off. And now back to James L. Brooks. So, like we were saying before, at first, Brooks and Groening, they resisted doing a feature television show, and this is the fucking coolest thing. So James L. Brooks said when they were doing the shorts, it was like meeting up with people to play jazz. It's like, let's do it the simplest way possible, and the process was fast, and it was as close to pure fun, and it should be criminal to have that much fun. And he's not a musician himself, so he says the only way he can think of comparing it to when they were doing the shorts was like a bunch of people, like musicians, meeting up to jam. And I think we can all very, very heavily relate to that idea.
If anyone's not sure, we are very jam-oriented among the three casters here right now.
I mean, even if you want to take jam in a different way to like where we just go, we meet up, we'll jam, we'll improv. But like you can also have people that like meet up to jam and just like play, like, oh, do you know fucking I'm trying to think of a simple
here's what I would say. I would say let's not even take it in terms of music. Let's break down the idea of jam with like within music, but like take it in a way that we can apply it to other things. It's just a way, it's just a way that different people that can think on their feet just start throwing ideas at each other and turn those ideas into something right then, right there.
And I also think it's a very, very, very big proponent of comfortability. Because like all three of us, we can bullshit and I feel comfortable around you guys. There's like less thought with the back and forth.
Like I know Johnny might roast me super hard in something that's like really close and personal to me, but I also know that if I get into something on the street with him, he's going to throw fisticuffs with me, not at me.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I could say,
which goes back to his casting once again. He likes to he wants to create the environment.
Yeah, huge thing. And I mean, before that, it was not. I feel like, I don't know if I'm giving him. Well, I'll give him too much credit. I feel like before James L. Brooks, there wasn't really that kind of appreciation for the whole team.
Well, what I think is really interesting is so far now that I'm like reflecting back quickly on all the different people that we've worked at, like in terms of the head creatives, none of their processes are particularly like congruent and similar. Like they all kind of have very different, like this is my goals, this is why I'm doing this. Like, it's not like they all had the exact same vision and came together on it. They're like, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm doing, and they've managed to put it together into something that's like, The Simpsons.
enjoyable and coherent for the rest of the world to understand.
Exactly. It's not some, like, there's some shows out there that it's like, oh, we have this grand idea of this story that we've thought to from beginning to end that we're going to implement. But this was like a kind of a hodgepodge, real American, like, oh, we're just throwing shit together, and once we get the parts together to stick, like, let's keep it running.
Yeah, there's actually a really good story that I heard from James L. Brooks. So him and Groening started working together, and they were, writing, creating, just whatever the terms were. Like, they were doing stuff together. They were making The Simpsons. And Brooks said at one time he was having a conversation with Matt, and he had always thought that they came from a similar place. Like, they were very
like-minded,
similar, similar, like background kind of thing. And he found out that Matt Groening was like the like class president, like he was on the football team, and like obviously he knew we went to Harvard, but that's a different thing altogether. But like James L. Brooks was like, when I found that out, it was crushing, like heart crushing. He's like, I thought here I was working with this guy for so long. I thought we came from the same, like, idea, ethos kind of thing. And to find out that I was getting beat up for stupid pranks in school, and he was getting praised for, this and that, like, bad student, good student, popular kid, not popular kid.
And I think that's where not dislike, because that's a strong word, but the animosity for each other came from, because in 95, I believe it was, they had a little public dispute.
Is that over the Critic episode?
Yeah, Star is Burns.
It was public?
Well, they made their dispute public, so it wasn't like they didn't fight internally. They were fighting with the media involved.
Yeah, they were saying quotes to organizations about each other too, that they were quoting them in the paper, showing type shit. Like,
really?
Yeah. So
Damn,
Matt was really upset, saying essentially it was a 30-minute advertisement for his show, The Critic, on The Simpsons.
Wait,
wasn't we briefly covered that in the Al Jean episode? Yeah.
Yeah, but wait. So why was James L. Brooks involved in this?
Because he was part of the Critic.
Yes. He was
him and Al Jean went over and started doing stuff on the Critic, and then the network wanted the crossover episode, and they did it. And Matt Groening was pissed because his buddies had gone over, started doing something else, and then we're making him do something on his thing about their thing. And he's like, this is stupid. I hate it. And this show's trash.
Brooks was the producer, so he allowed it.
Yeah.
That was the dispute. He was in charge of The Simpsons, but he allowed it to go through.
It was funny because it's a bunch of like 50-year-old men just like calling each other out for being immature.
Why though? I mean, like, dude, like I'll do a whole.
That seems like ego at my point.
Yeah. At that point, yeah.
I mean, maybe.
You're the biggest cartoon on TV in your fucking nation. Like da 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 da. You're all in like such large roles of it. It's your show at this point, or like
and Brooks was quoted saying that Matt was very involved with the episode. They even redesigned the character,
the main character, James or whatever, the Sherman or whatever, but they made him yellow
to put him in The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And Matt brought that up, so they made a redesign for him. So he was involved with it, and then it got public, and that's exactly what Brooks was.
That's what Brooks was most upset about. Was exactly, he's like, yo, like we went through this episode. You gave us your like rewrite, edit type shit. We did that stuff, and then you still bitched about it out like in the public, like. And then he said his little spiel, and then Matt probably fired something back, and then Al Jean hopped on, and they probably had like 10 little statements between different tabloids and shit and journals, and then they kept on going.
okay, so we'll end on this. Without the Simpsons, what else would we not have? Because obviously, no Futurama, no any Matt Groening stuff. Like, what do you think?
Hopefully, Mike Judge. Hopefully King of the Hill. But that's a what if, because then you wouldn't have the chance. Because
I'm not willing to speak on what we would and wouldn't have, but we would be at least a decade behind in adult animation from our nation. Like, he opened the doors for it, so then we get all these different things coming in.
Yep.
A lot of them don't stick, a lot of them only get a few seasons or whatever. But if we didn't get the Simpsons on through shorts on the Ullman Show and then into its own thing, that wouldn't happen until at least the mid 90s, late 90s with something, and we'd be so far behind that it would be fucking irrelevant.
We may have gotten there at a certain point, but it wouldn't have been the same path. And like we talked about Al Jean last week, and like at this point, researching all this, like he's kind of inconsequential when it comes to it, because if it wasn't for James L. Brooks being in the certain place he was and
badass,
calling up Matt Groening, being a badass, making it fucking rags to riches, calling up Matt Groening, and also Matt Groening being the person he was, instead of being like, well, I guess I'll just bring him what I have. He's like, no, fuck that. I'm just gonna draw something real quick on a napkin. It could have been a napkin, like he's lucky he had a piece of paper in like the waiting room he was sitting in. In 5 minutes, he drew up all of the characters of The Simpsons. And like we talked about it before, he wanted all the characters to be unique on silhouette, which is one of his like quirky Matt Groening rules. Like,
I saw actually funny thing anti that I saw recently was this one guy showing a thing where this was for Dragon Ball Z, and he drew out like a basic face without hair, and then he had different little like hair cutouts that he dragged over the figure, and like 5 or 6 of the main characters of Dragon Ball Z are the same face shape with a different haircut, and that's it. Different haircut and then different clothes that they're wearing, but that's enough for most people to not realize that they're the same.
He also alludes to that, Matt, in Skinner and his mother. Skinner's mother traces his silhouette, and he has a whole wall of all of his silhouettes as he goes.
Oh yeah, you're right. So, on the right by the staircase.
Yeah, so it's a little allude to his rule, as you would say.
How important silhouette is.
There's like a lot of creatives that had certain rules, and like if you're gonna work for this person and make these movies or films or cartoons or animations, like you have to abide by these rules. The one that comes to mind, which I think is really cool, Tim Burton had a no 90-degree angle rule.
Yep.
Which just like it comes through in everything that he's done, and it's such a small thing, but when you think about it, it's such a large thing.
Yeah. I've seen posts online where people are like, here's an 89-degree angle, and people are just infuriated by it. And now the entire shot is nothing but those. Brilliant.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on the Mr. Brooks here?
I mean, other than the fact that all of the like the episodes and things that he has done for his shows.
I mean, his credit list goes on for days.
It goes on for days, but if you look at it, you read one of them and you'd be like, oh, that's a Simpsons episode. So let's see here.
He also had a pretty heavy hand in the Simpsons movie, the creation and direction of that. He was pretty big in that.
I think he was saying for the movie, they really had all of like the heavy hitters, like a lot of people that hadn't been working for The Simpsons for a while that did back in the day. They had them all come in. And he was saying that was kind of a little like over stressful because you have so many people you have to work with and like so many things that are trying to be done.
So many egos.
Yeah, so like, okay, so random episode I see here of Rhoda, which was a spinoff of the Mary Tyler Moore Show. It's Brenda Runs Away. That is, like just titling like Lisa Runs Away, or so and so does so and so. I saw a bunch of them earlier. The Making of a Vegetarian.
Did you know? That's the one where Lisa becomes a vegetarian?
No, that's an episode he wrote for. No, maybe he didn't.
Okay.
Maybe it's just a coincidence.
Because that episode has, I believe, Paul McCarthy.
Yeah, the Beatles, yeah.
And he said he would only be in it if they promoted vegetarianism, and Lisa remained a vegetarian.
Really?
Yep.
After that, yep. And that's kind of one of her first introductions to being like a Buddhist type character, and then she adopts Buddhism later on, I think, after that. There's a scene of her like meditating on the roof above Apu's with
Apu's, yeah.
and there's like
that's
a garden up there.
That's where they meet Paul McCartney, and Linda McCartney is on the roof. Oh, we always come to Springfield to go on Apu's roof with all the garden vegetables. That was but also they kept like quote unquote continuity with like Lisa being a vegetarian, but they didn't really do too much with it. Over the long haul of things.
Well, she still doesn't eat meat, so they kept that. She's still
they
a
kept
vegetarian.
Listen, all I wanted to say, you fucking donuts, go on Facebook. Go on Facebook, look up the Doh Show podcast. And join that. Join our little plan
I'll also be getting us onto the Doh Show Podcats Instagram or TikTok. TikTok's going to be our.
We already have the TikTok. You could have already been following, but the name will be changed to the Doh Show Podcats. We have Instagram at the Doh Show. I think there's underscores or whatever. But listen, we're all over the place. You just go to Google, you type in the Doh Show, you'll probably find all the shit we have. Just DOH. That's all you need to focus on. Because if you type out DOUGH, I feel like you're going to get a lot of
We're probably going to go to something on the Food Network, and we're never going to get you back from there.
Kind of thing.
We've got a very small audience, and we need to keep the members that we do have coming.
Yes, we need to retain the people we have. Go on Discord. If you play video games, go on Discord, or even if you just like video chatting or hanging out with people while they play video games, go on Discord, look up the Doh Show. It's a nice little community we got. We're playing all sorts of stuff, Terraria, and other people play more expensive games. But, I don't have anything. I've converted all my personal things to the Doh Show. I have nothing personal to follow. What about you, Alex? You got anything?
No, you don't need to follow my Instagram. It's the Master of Microbes, but I don't do much on there. It's mostly cat things at this point. So.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan? What are you working on?
I'm working on catching these waves, bro.
Oh yeah, you gotta go, man. You gotta help. All right, well, we gotta close this one out so Ryan can go catch that nar.
Hey, all right. There was a tropical storm in Mexico, and it's coming up here, and there's now it's 6 to 10 footers, bro. Ripping.
All right, well, just make sure you dude. How about this? You turn on your location on your phone and you send it to me. So if you go out on the nar, at least I can call someone that you know.
Once I see you start floating around in there for too long, I know something's up.
Yeah, it's 9:30 his time, and he's 3 miles from the coast. I'm gonna call someone.
All right. On that note, boys, I'm out.
Yep, that's been today's this week's episode of the Doh Show, everyone.
Doh Show.
Episode 19. We're getting there, boys.
We're almost through half a year.
Yeah. All right. Say goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
See you next week.
So long, everybody.